Hey, Mr. Brandon said we are past time here, so we will call the regular August the 7th council meeting to order. If you'll bow your heads for a short word of prayer. Heavenly Father, thank Thee for this beautiful day that You've sent to us. We thank Thee for the sunshine and the rain, Lord. You have been blessing us with the rain, and we appreciate it and all the other blessings of life, Lord. We pray for all of those in this town that need Thy healing hand. There's so many people, Lord, that have need Thy healing hand. Touch their bodies and make them well and give them a good day. Pray for those that lost loved ones too. Be with them and comfort them if only You can. And Heavenly Father, we ask Thee to bless this city, and we ask Thee to bless America. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. If you'll join me as we salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, do I hear a motion we approve the agenda as presented?
I make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Bracknell. Here a second. Second by Mr. Wallace or Todd?
Who seconded it?
Mr. Wallace. Okay. Okay. Any discussion? Favor signify by saying aye. Aye. That's approved. Have a visitor, Mr. Helton, concerning a draining issue adjacent to his residential property in Windy Mill subdivision. Mr. Helton.
I got my neighbors with me too. Kelly Gant.
Okay, Mr. Gant, come forward too, sir.
So I showed everybody the video, and I haven't showed you because I didn't see you up here, but I'll show you in just a second. The issue is we live in Windy Mill. Most people know where I live, and I've had the city manager actually come back to my house inside and actually see the actual issue. But one of the fundamental problems is we live on the down end of Creek Run, so all the rainwater comes and dumps off at Creek Run in between my house and ends up flooding Mr. Gant's house and floods the backyard of Mr. Moore's house. So what I'm asking for is the city to sit here and be accountable to an extent, as this house was built obviously by David. The subdivision was built by David Harrison. The engineering was done by Hughes Ray, which Hughes Ray is also the engineer for the city of Temple. I've had the opportunity to speak to Mr. Ray, Mr. Hughes or Ray. I don't know who I spoke to in that context, but one of them. Something has to be done. Windy Mill is one of the better neighborhoods. Maybe not the best, but one of the better ones. But at the end of the day, it's personal for me because it doesn't necessarily affect my property as much as it affects these two gentlemen's property, but something needs to be done. And the city approved these plans with the intent that there wouldn't be any issues. And I'm asking for the city to take the responsibility at this point to fix this drainage issue. It is becoming, given the climate and the temperature of the climate and how the climate is changing and all the rainwater that we're getting, it is becoming even more increasingly of a peril to get something done at this particular juncture. I don't know, obviously I've reached out to Dwayne, which is the Public Works Director. Dwayne referred that to the city administrator. I have not spoke to the city administrator after which he actually came to view because I didn't want to conflict that. But I don't know what his opinion of it is now. But I think something right now needs to be done. I did have the opportunity to show 3 of the board members, and I'll show you now, what the drainage issue, and I've also reached out to the mayor. But I'm asking for this council to sit here and vote on something getting done. And let's make some kind of resolution expeditiously. That's pretty much it.
Okay, I have been over there. You do have a problem, and your neighbors have a problem, and I'm sorry you have a problem. So, any suggestions? Mr.
I just
Walton.
have a question. How long has this been going on? Because this is the first that I've heard about.
It has been going on for quite some time, but because of how the rain, I mean, last year it became a more stagnant of an issue when the rain. Last year, I think we had almost 20 days of just pure rain, and I think Kelly invested almost $1,000 just trying to beautify it, and that just went out the door last year after all that rain. But he can tell you more about that while I sit here and try to show you the pictures.
Yeah, basically we had laid down surrounding rock and filled it in with some pebbles to when the water come through, maybe slow it down to stop the erosion. With the force of the rain that came for that period, it actually just took all the rocks and just washed them out in the middle of the yard.
Where is yours?
And drove them back up, just pushed them down. With the amount of rain that we've been receiving, it's actually eroding to the point it's actually starting to show the root system of the trees. Because it's
The pipe.
I guess, carving a canal through there. And one of my fears, all the erosion is starting to come down from my edge of the property, Mr. Helton's edge of the property, and it's where our two houses combine. On top of that, we got trees in between that's starting to show root systems. So with it being as damp and moist as it is, I got a fear that tree may actually fall also.
I've had the EPA come out and evaluate what needs to happen. The challenge is that river on the side of my home is EPA protected, which limits our responsibility and our capabilities in fixing and mitigating the problem. They advise us to come to the city and get you guys as council because they feel like it lies more on the responsibility of the city versus more of a state issue in the eyes of the EPA. Now, I know this is wrapped in a lot of stuff here, but we've done a lot of avenues trying to fix the problem.
Mr. Bracknell,
What are our choices?
what are your choices? Your choices is,
Howard Ray is here tonight, if he can shed any light on it. And now, if we have a drainage easement down through there that we need to be taken care of, but it's unclear where if the water is coming from the creek, is it backing up?
No, it's
It's washing down.
This is coming from the
Stormwater system.
They don't connect to that top floor.
What should have happened technically is that it shouldn't have just stopped right there. The drainage should have been connected and dumped out into the pond, the real creek. But if Hugh Braden, I don't know.
Can we get an opinion from Howard Ray? He's here.
yeah, you can.
Because I'd like to know some
Well, yeah,
options. I don't know what to
Let's put you in the hot
propose. I
seat.
don't know the options.
Used to it. I'm good. So basically what you have is the drainage is following natural drainage patterns that was before there were any houses. So what you've got, I understand their concern. Okay, so basically, I'm standing in the road, you got a house on the right, house on the left. Tide goes out 40 feet, 50 feet maybe from the road, discharges. Okay, so this would be going towards 78, so I'm trying to be too technical, so I'll lose it, throw your hand up, okay? So it's draining between the house towards 78, but as soon as it gets behind the back of the house, it turns in its natural position and goes to the left towards Holly Creek, which comes underneath 78, okay? There's also a creek, Lucas Creek, that's right behind you guys, okay? Now, the possible solutions are the quickest and easiest, we dig a ditch to that closest creek. But I'm not sure you can get into it because the natural fall is to the left, not to the small creek in the back. So if you start looking at piping or ditching, you're going down across this, who's on the left? I'm in the road. So you're going to dig across his yard, backyard, a ditch. I mean, so it's always been there. That's where you see it in the old photo. I look at it when Mr. Helton called me. And that's where the natural water went. Code at that time was 40 feet off the right of way. But that was the time that I just had started after I was planning to review by Carroll County. And as you know, Mayor, for sure, the plans weren't really looked at in that depth. But that, we did, I will say, from our side, we went to
If I can see it,
a lot of times, a lot of times the builders will then pick them up and carry them. I mean, we've seen a lot of builders, but less than probably 25%. I don't disagree that this guy's got a lot of water in his backyard, but it is, half a mile of water coming down that roadway. And the bottom of the hill is cul-de-sac, so that's where the majority of the water there's a lot more to it.
So one of the things that when you look in depth as far as planning and future planning and depth of development, I own several properties in Atlanta. What the city of Atlanta does is when you build a new house now, you have to have a dry well. And the dry well is what it says here, which stipulates but a lot of that offset with roof water, drain water, and things of that nature. Carroll County was not that technical when it came to development and planning, but we need to do something at this point to sit here and alleviate, because if a tree falls or something, that's going to impede and come back onto, it's going to be an issue.
And I will say this, we're in the process of starting the development code, which will define these rules better. So what we've seen, for instance, in Atlanta and in Douglasville, is instead of that 40-foot rule, is that pipe has to go to the end of the property. Okay? So if that would have been in effect, and if that just came into effect, WSA or Douglasville about 2 years ago, that pipe would discharge in that small creek behind the house. I will answer this so that these guys know, even though that creek is protected by EPA, or drainage structures are allowed to get into it. So it's not like we can't go into it. We have rights, permanent, but there are rights contained for drainage. So, but I remember looking at it probably 3 years ago. Mr. Purcell, I think was here, Ernest, was the public works. He called me out, and the biggest thing I saw is that there's no outlet station. A pipe, and that disappears over time. A pipe length 18 or 24 inches, I'm not sure, but typically you would see 20, 30, 40 foot of rock extended out. That's to dissipate that energy. And it might be 3 foot, and like I said, I think it was one of you guys was all that was there.
Is that something our public works could do, or do we need to get a contractor to do it?
I believe it would be an ordinance contract.
Well, okay, that would be your recommendation.
Okay.
Whenever you enter private property, I would recommend not having it go.
Okay, I got you.
Okay, Mr. Osborne.
Mr. Mayor, if I could make a request that during this next month, the staff in contact with our attorney, and then we come back and make a report at your next regular meeting, because whatever you decide on this does have implications for what we might do and other things on the future. But there is an issue, as Mr. Helton says. I've been out there in the rain with him looking at it, and if we can, y'all give us time to come back in with a recommendation at your next meeting.
Mr. Bradley, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was asking if we could get a plan to see what we can do and what we can't,
Okay.
so that we can.
Is that suitable with you if we get something going?
So I guess right now we're just saying we're going to go to the next meeting, but prior to that we're going to get some.
Get some ideas,
Okay.
and to be back at the next meeting.
It'll be September 11th.
September, is that it? Yep. It's changed because of the Memorial Day, Labor Day, September the 11th.
Okay.
Okay.
So I assume we'll have some concrete provisions of what we can do going forward that day.
Correct.
Okay. Thank y'all for attending, and we do need to try to address something, because I've been over there. It was a mistake, and it needs to be addressed.
I appreciate y'all gentlemen taking the time to listen to us.
Thanks, fellas.
Thank you guys.
Okay. Any more public comment? Okay. Approval of the minutes for June the 29th. Yeah, public comment? Yes, sir. Forward.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Council members? Wonderful topic. As you already know, I made a request for open records.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't fulfilled to the fullest extent that it should have been. I was able to talk with the Assistant Attorney General upon her leaving. I understand she made a statement about you can't create records, which is true. My experience from doing forensic auditing is that when an open records request is made, CDs cannot be recreated. There's a thing called a status of the CDs. Every bank in America is mandated by federal law to give any municipality and person that own it a status. It's a simple request. They send out the status of each account. The city then can present that, which I'm sure everybody here would like to know where that $1,200,000, whatever it is, $1,000 is. And so what she suggested that I do is to file a formal complaint, which will wind up in court. And the city will have to get the good old attorney there, or somebody, to represent them, because when Mr. Osborne said he wasn't going to give it to me and they called the city attorney, I called his office, but I never got a call back. So, as a citizen, it'll be a lot easier and better for everybody here if the city council get a copy of the status of those CDs, which is public funds, make that information presentable to the public at large so we can move on. If it's not done, I'm only going to file a lawsuit. And the Attorney General says that if I do that, then they will assign an investigator. It don't need to go all the way out there to left field. Next council meeting, I'm having Fox 5 to come so we can get a status of my request. Have a good day.
Mr. Boswell, now what exactly are you requesting?
All of the CDs that are currently being held, I believe it's in Synovus. The status of those accounts as far as the dollar amount that are in those accounts, totaling what I was given at a previous council meeting, which should be way over $1 million in public funds. Because I was handed a sheet showing that the city had over $5 million in total assets. And if that is not true, because since I was given the original documents, there's 3 accounts that's been closed, that money is gone. There's been money moved around since then. According to the documents that I received, every account I took the wonderful thing was they gave me the account numbers on the first batch of accounts when I got the first bank statements. They were old. The second batch that I got, which were current, had the account numbers marked out, but the previous balance from the previous month showed me what account belonged to what. Called Math 101. So, I matched up everything. There are accounts that are closed. There's money that's still sitting from Splosh in accounts that ain't supposed to be in. And my main concern is if that $1 million does not show up, sirs, come. I'm going to call my dear friend with the feds, and I'm going to shake Temple to his core. That ain't a threat. It's a citizen's request to get facts. Real simple. Congratulations on your election, sir, and coming into the fold. I know you're going to be a great asset. Gentlemen, I'm making a request.
Well, I
would hope that y'all would acknowledge that.
I don't see why your request cannot be
well, Mr.
fulfilled.
Osborne has so many words in which I don't want to play back in the recordings. It wouldn't be appropriate. But basically to get out of his office. But it's all good. I've been in the worst places in America. I grew up in Alabama in the 60s. But it's 2017 in Temple, Georgia. And this citizen is requesting what should have been given so that all of this, I wouldn't have no animosity whatsoever now. Because I made a promise to you. If the money is there, I will stand before the public and say, all is well with the council. Remember that? When I wasn't given those documents because of Mr. Osborne, good luck on staying here long, sir. I'm younger than you. Might not stay that way if you keep treating citizens the way you treated me. Bottom line, let's get this all cleared up so the citizens can focus on other stuff. Sir, you work for me. I don't work for you. You will respect me. Every time I come here, I'm going to have somebody with me or recording. Just letting you know. God knows I done spent 30-some years locking folks up without learning intelligent conversation and covering my rear end. So I really applaud you guys for listening. It's a simple request. Thank you.
Anybody got any Anybody got any problem with this man having public open records that is any citizen in this town can come request?
Well, we should have bank statements available. I've seen those. Now, he was asking for CDs.
Well, I mean, CDs can have, we can get a copy of the
We should
CD
be
from
able
the institution. I
We
don't,
should be able to get him a balance of every account. that the city
On the bank
has.
letterhead. Not on the city account letterhead. On the bank
On
letterhead.
bank letterhead.
I mean, I don't see anything that he is asking that is not
We've had them recently.
legal
Just-
for him to have.
no.
Let's make sure he gets it.
Let's get them for him.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
You heard the council, Mr. Boswell. We're going to try to comply with your wishes, sir. We don't
I would
under-
really appreciate it.
we don't
because,
understand
The
this.
assistant city attorney said, this is simple.
It is
Her
sound
office
simple.
has too many other pressing things than to be coming back out here dealing with something like this. But if I file they have no choice then but to get involved.
Okay.
Let's get this over with, guys.
I agree. Let's see if
I'm
we,
not going away.
let's see if we can't provide you with what's legally yours, sir.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Current bank statements on bank letterhead, is that sufficient?
There's-
Showing
and the thing is, I understand about cities, they're not mature.
Yeah.
But the bank, if you request a status of those accounts as of that date on their letterhead for each of those accounts and the dollar amount in those accounts, we're done with this.
Thank you, sir. Let us see if we can't get that up for you, sir.
We need to get Miss Sarah to get that while she's still under our contact.
Okay, any more? You finished, sir?
Yes, sir. Guys, have a great day now.
Thank you.
Any more public comment? Okay. Approval of minutes, June the 29th, special call meeting. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by
Second.
Mr. Walden, second by Bracknell. Any discussion? Favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
July the 6th, regular meeting.
Make a motion, we approve.
Motion by Mr. Bracknell,
Second.
second by Mr. Walden. Any discussion? Favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
July the 25th, special call meeting.
Make a motion, we approve.
Mr. Bracknell, motion. Here a second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Walden. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Old business, following the second read of proposed ordinance by the city attorney's office to consider approval of said ordinance providing a exemption plan for property located at 282 Carrollton Street being part of tax parcel T004, which is a combined property, 268 Carrollton Street. Applicant T. Gordon James and Associates, sir. Mr.
Just go ahead and read the ordinance.
Yeah, read the ordinance first.
All right, so this is an ordinance, I think, that was prepared by our office and read at the last meeting. Let's do the second reading. Whereas the city has received an application to vary the boundary lines of those properties designated as 268, 282 Carrollton Street, tax map and parcel numbers T040060003 and T040060067, according to the city county systems of master property for tax purposes. And whereas the application on behalf of the property owner has requested that a portion of said 282 Carrollton Street be taken from its respective tax parcel and joined with the property comprising 268 Carrollton Street, thereby enlarging the area of that property known as 268 Carrollton Street. And whereas the property owner has made a corresponding request that the property known as 282 Carrollton Street be reduced in size accordingly, and whereas the Temple Planning Commission and Temple City Council have both conducted public hearings with regard to this application, now therefore be it ordained and is hereby ordained and established as follows. The Temple Planning Commission conducted a public hearing pursuant to notice on July 18, 2017, at which the public offered comments with respect to said boundary line change. Furthermore, the Temple City Council conducted a public hearing pursuant to notice at a call meeting on July 25, 2017, at which the public again offered comments with respect to said request. After conducting these public hearings in consideration of the land use plan and future development of City Temple and related matters, and based on the Planning Commission's determination that such boundary redrawing request should be approved, the City Council of the City Temple determines by this ordinance to shift the boundary lines between the above listed tax parcels in accordance with the request submitted on behalf of the property owner. The property owner's request, as well as a new survey depicting the new boundary line between the tax parcels, shall be maintained on file with the clerk of the City Temple, and all such drawings and documents related to said application are incorporated into this ordinance made part of by reference. The official tax maps and zoning maps of the City Temple shall be changed to reflect those changes as set forth in this ordinance.
Okay, that's the second reading of this ordinance. Do I hear a motion?
make a motion
Got a
we
motion by
accept
Mr. Bracknell that we approve this ordinance. Here a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Walden. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried. Okay. Item number 2, following second reading of a proposed ordinance by the City Attorney's Office to consider approval of said ordinance providing variance to property at 229 Carrollton Street and 249 Carrollton Street in order to relocate property lines between these two adjacent lots. Application by Mr. Max and Ellis Golden. Mr. Attorney, you want to read that one?
Yes, sir. Whereas the city has received an application to vary the boundary lines of those properties designated as 229 and 249 Carrollton Street, tax map and parcel numbers TO 0070038 and TO 0070017, according to city and county systems of mapping property for tax purposes. Whereas the application on behalf of the property owner has requested that a portion of said 229 Carrollton Street be taken from its respective tax parcel and joined with the property comprising 249 Carrollton Street, thereby enlarging the area that property known as 249 Carrollton Street. And whereas the property owner has made a corresponding request that the property known as 249 Carrollton Street be reduced in size accordingly, whereas the Temple Planning Commission and Temple City Council have both conducted public hearings with regard to this application, now therefore be it ordained and is hereby ordained and established as follows. The Temple Planning Commission conducted a public hearing pursuant to notice on July 18, 2017, at which the public offered comments with respect to said boundary line change. Furthermore, the Temple City Council conducted a public hearing pursuant to notice at a call meeting on July 25, 2017, at which the public again offered comments with respect to said request. After conducting its public hearings in consideration of the land use plan and future development of the City of Temple, as well as all related matters, and based on the Planning Commission's determination that such boundary redrawing request should be approved, the City Council of the City of Temple determines by this ordinance to shift the boundary lines between the both listed tax parcels in accordance with the request submitted on behalf of the property owner. The property owner's request, as well as a new survey depicting the new boundary line between the tax parcels, shall be maintained on file with the clerk of the City of Temple, and all such drawings and documents related to the said application are incorporated in this ordinance and made part of it by reference. Official tax maps and zoning maps of the City of Temple shall be changed to reflect those changes as set forth in this ordinance.
Okay, that concludes the second reading of this ordinance. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I make the motion we
Mr.
approve.
Bracknell, your second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Walden. Any discussion? In favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried. Okay. Any more? Oh, is that old business? That's all the old business. Okay, new business. Appointment of a member to the Planning Commission to fill the vacancy created by resignation of Mr. Stevens. Mr. Stevens is my appointment, and he come to me the other day, and he said his health wouldn't allow him to sit for the duration of these meetings, and he asked me if I would replace him, and I said, do you have someone in mind to take your spot? He said he did, and he offered up the name of Mr. Richard McIntosh, and that's my appointment to serve the remaining term Mr. Stevens' term. Your motion.
I'll make a motion.
Got a motion by Mr. Rockwell. Here a second. Here a second. Okay, there is no second, so I guess Mr. Stevens, in spite of his health, will have to remain on that committee. Okay. Item number 2, adjournment, announcement of a joint planning meeting with the Temple City Council and Temple Planning Commission will be held at 5:30 on Tuesday, August 15th at the Senior Building for the purpose of receiving a draft copy of the city's updated zoning map and a copy of the city's proposed new future land use map. Mr. Osborne.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, and basically what you've read is the heart of this, as I think all of you know. Just do want to remind you that next Tuesday night at the Senior Center at 5:30, we will be, and I've got a memo to you just to refresh your memory, we will be presenting to you a draft of what Hughes Ray Engineering, with the research they've done, believes is accurate rendering of our current zoning map. Also, we'll be looking at a draft copy of what they have prepared as a possible future land use map. We would encourage any of our citizens who wish to come to sit in on this meeting. Our purpose primarily is to ask the elected officials and the Planning Commission to take a look at these drafts, and over the next month, talking with anybody they wish to talk with. We're just trying to see with the current zoning map to be sure that nobody sees anything and says, well, that's not what I remember. And if any parcels of that nature, Hughes Ray will do some more research, but we are trying to be sure we've got an accurate current zoning map and future land use map. So that will be 5:30 next Tuesday, August 15th. Follow-up meeting will come sometime in mid-September. Any questions, I'll be glad to respond.
Okay, item number 3, the announcement of qualifying periods for candidates for the City of Temple's 2017 municipal election will be Tuesday through Thursday, August the 22nd through the 24th at City Hall. Kristen.
So we have an election coming up November 7th of this year, and we have openings for the mayor, also council wards 1 and 2. So we're having qualifying coming up in August, which, as the mayor said, it's going to be Tuesday, August 22nd until Thursday, August 24th from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. at City Hall. So anyone that's interested in running for mayor or one of these council seats that's open, please come to City Hall during that time, and there's some paperwork you'll have to fill out to be qualified. Information about that's on our website, on our Facebook page, and it has been advertised in the paper as well.
Okay, any questions? Request by Wilson Sign Repair Incorporated concerning replacement of a billboard adjacent to Carrollton Street at a parcel of land occupied by Alex's Car Wash at 95 Rockandee Road, and staff report concerning City of Temple restrictions on location of billboards. Mr. Osborne.
Yes, sir, just a couple of preliminary comments, and then you'll hear from someone who wants to make a presentation. I was approached by representatives of Wilson Signs looking at putting up a billboard at the location identified by the mayor, which actually is at the corner of Rockingdee and Carrollton Street, where Alex Car Wash facilities are. You have had in your books to look at several attachments, as well as my report, that at this time the only thing I can find in your zoning ordinance where billboards can go is basically within 500 feet of I-20, and I did include some information from the Carroll County government on what they do with these types of billboards that would be on state highways or other streets other than the interstate. But tonight you will hear from Representative of Wilson, and then if there's any interest in your part on looking at this further, we would have working with our attorneys to come up with provisions so that it would be something that could be considered under our ordinance. But I thought you might want to, tonight we'd start by just having Wilson Sign Repair make their report to you and see where we go from there.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good
I'm Wayne Wilson. This is Brian. We're a local company. We're out of Carrollton, Georgia. We own the Ford. It's on the interstate. What we're trying to do, we built some in one in Bremen, Carrollton. I'll give you a copy of sort of see what they look like. These are electronic boards. They change every 7.5 to 8 seconds by the law of the state of Georgia. But what we found, especially the one in the Bremen area and the Carrollton area, it pulls the people past the initial getting off the exit. The one in Bremen's up there at the Chevron station, and we've had great luck with it as far as pulling up. You got like 18,000 cars up there at the truck stops. But when you leave the truck stop, it falls off dramatically. What we're doing, we try to put out a nice product. Everything's clean. We don't advertise nothing. We don't want our kids to see them. We think it'd be beneficial for all. It'll be quite an investment for ourselves. This is the brand. Any questions?
Okay, there's two here. What, is this?
That's the Bremen sign. We'll just give you two of our 4 digitals. Those are compatible in size that we're wanting to do.
Is this one up there at Pioneer Ford? It is.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And fortunately, you know, thank God, we've been able to keep them all rented, and it's, most of, I know that particular one's a tractor dealership, but most of them on there are the people in the area there. The good thing about it, even if the city has something, Bill Ripper was just done one up there to where they advertised one of their events. Of course, we was wanting to do that for them, and it's very little cost, it's like $75 for a creative, you know, compared to $500 if it's printed and posted.
And this is electronic?
That's what we want to put. I won't say it'll be the first thing we put there because this thing's about $100,000.
Yeah.
So, you know, we got to get our
top of the cost of the
on top of
building
on top of the cost of the structure. But, like I've been in the business since '82 or '3. We got structures in Carrollton and Temple, Villa-Rica, and we got Howard Heflin in Jacksonville
And Oxford.
and Oxford. So that's what we're wanting to do. We're wanting to spend our time. I think it'll benefit us all.
Well, I see the ones that you've got now, and even the ones on Interstate 20, they're at a much wider corridor than what we have to offer out here on 113. Especially the one on 27.
What we've done, we met with the Georgia DOT, and they told us exactly where the DOT line is. All this stuff is regulated by the state of Georgia. You know, we have to have somebody on call all the time in case something went wrong. The dimmers don't come. I know y'all rode by these on-premise signs where they're just so bright at night that you can't see. We can't do that. Since we got, besides us monitoring, we sit in our office, we can look at each one of them, plus the manufacturer that we buy them from. They've got just unbelievable building. Actually, it pays a little dot that comes in. So one of these little LEDs go out or something, they usually know it before we do. So everything is secure on. It's a secure network with their provider.
Any more questions?
What size is this?
We want to put a 10.6 by 36. That's the same as this one. The other one's a 12 by 40. It was a little bigger because it's a little further off the road. You know, we keep everything, all of our stuff in top conditions. And y'all never seen anything unpleasable on the 4 on the interstate.
No.
We don't have any.
Yeah, they've been maintained. Y'all did ask for a variance on those.
Yes, sir, we sure did. I think you might have been on.
I was on the planning commission.
Right. Oh,
Y'all wanted to go way high with them.
yeah. Well, had to. And actually,
150 feet.
yes, sir.
Of course, it paid off because the trees have grown quite a bit.
Right, that's what we try to do. We try to get above it, but now we can cut trees, but we just can't come up with the money to buy them from the state of Georgia yet. So,
Any more questions for Mr. Wilson? Hear a motion to approve his sign request? Yes, sir.
I think if you vote to approve the sign request, then we'll have to follow up with the attorney because your ordinance, I don't think at this time would let you do what he's asking to be done, but it would be an indication of the direction you would be wanting to move in.
If the ordinance is changed to allow to change the areas in which billboards are allowed, that certainly can be done. Y'all can do that. You can change the way that the ordinance reads if you want to. That would require a public hearing and an ordinance, and that just for a text amendment to our zoning ordinance. It can be done. It would just it would take a little bit longer than just a meeting. You couldn't do it at the next meeting, I guess is what I'm saying, but it can be done. Or you can ask these gentlemen to request a variance of some kind.
we've done that a lot. Well, basically, that's what we've done on the interstate here, because that's what variance on the height.
It's a height variance.
Yes.
But that was already zoned industrial down there, which would accept, the big billboards.
Mr. Rockwell.
This is something that we're currently working on our planning and zoning, and shouldn't it be included into what we've got going on?
Yeah, we're about to start talking about meeting, what, on the 15th?
Yeah.
On the
Yeah,
zoning stuff.
I think we could address it during that time.
Yeah, I don't see why we couldn't. I mean, how soon do you have to have an
We'd
answer?
like to build it tomorrow. We're very, very patient.
We are.
You know,
As long as it's reasonable.
we would like to move forward with it, and I think it'll be a good time for it to see it there. And we would even like to help you promote it or whatever we got, you know, as far as the other local ordinances and stuff. Carrollton's got a pretty good one, where you can have them every 1,000 feet, you know, the 1,000-foot radius is a good.
We're about to have some meetings to redo our zoning maps and our future land use maps. So like Mr. Rothwell said, it might be a good time to address it.
To address it there.
See if that's something we want to put on our 113 corridor.
That ain't nothing we would do, but I've noticed seeing TVs with one of these bigger guys come in, if they want to do something, usually it can be real ugly for them. Towns like Fulton County, all the stuff, they've been in court for years. And anyway, they ended up having to give this one company all the signs and stuff, even though they had been cities created after it, and then paid, I think, millions of dollars in fines. That's nothing that I would do, but the other cities and the bigger boys, you know, that get some that's just not feasible at all, you know.
The text amendment that would need to be adopted, as Mr. Osmond said, would just be to create another location where a billboard would be allowed.
Right.
That's what we're talking about.
Right.
And again, that would require, you know, notice in the paper, 15 days, and a public hearing, all that kind of stuff. So just to let y'all know that that's what would legally be required, since our sign ordinance is part of our zoning ordinance.
Mr. Rockwell.
Do you already have space sold on this?
No. We'll get a feel on that once we get the going on. It's just the one in Bremen and Carrollton has been great. A local.
I just, as expensive as those must be, I can't imagine who would want who would want to lease space here.
Right.
Well, to bring people this way.
You never know. I mean, there might be some. I don't know what all the businesses you have there, but you got Ingles, right?
Everything we got, right?
Right. But I just speaking as what they did for Brinkman. You know, it's basically Walmart, and then it ventured out this and that. But there was a lot of like insurance agents that we got real estate, car dealerships, tractors. You know.
It's what, 4 mile stretch?
Yeah. I mean, I ain't saying that we'd fill it up for this, but it would give them the opportunity to.
Sure, but I mean, from I-20 to Walmart, it's 4 miles, so they need to draw people
It's
that
not
way.
necessarily just for direction, but just, it's got to plant the seed on, just try to get it to.
I mean, supply and demand.
Right. Then, you know, and then as housing picks up too, at one time, it was all, especially when I drove Ripley Television, it was all real estate and housing once it picked up, you know, back in the day. But
have you done a traffic count out here on 113?
This what?
It's on the Georgia Department of Transportation. It's roughly 19,000.
19,000.
They're right there at the red light.
The red light, and then it drops to 8 back this way.
Yeah, it gets around.
It's more than the Bremen then.
Yes,
right.
That's the number. I mean, that's a good indicator there, but
We
sales aren't based.
We look at that before we, you know, spend $100,000 on something, you know.
Mr. Osborne.
I think as if you're going to move forward with this, just the little research I've had done in talking with Carroll County, and of course the diagram we gave you shows the height and the square footage of the size of this sign, and as I looked at what you had proposed, that's a little bigger sign. Carroll County wanted it down at 113, and the bypass, which is a Wilson, I went by and looked at it today, and I think that's 300 square feet, which I think is Carroll.
You could stretch that from 10 by 30 instead of 10.6 by 36. I mean,
Yeah.
just that particular sign, we decided to go. Reason it's like that is because of the setbacks we had to do. We bought that little piece of property there. It's like a 1/11 of an acre or a little less, and I couldn't get my 10-foot setbacks off of all of it with it stretched 30 foot. So we made it 12 by 25.
But the only point I'm making is when y'all look at this, whatever you decide in terms of the size of the sign, like I say, Carroll County and in the unincorporated area, they told me the maximum was 300 square feet.
Actually, on the LED, it'll be a little less than 10.6 and a little less than 36. I'd have to get the exact dimensions of what they got on the inside. They come in modules, and what they add up to, they don't split a module for them.
What's the smallest you do on the LED?
I'm sorry.
The smallest size on an LED?
You can buy one this far and that long, it's like this, like your little stores or whatever the message center. But generally, the 12 by 25 or 10 or 3, billboards usually broke down in 300 square feet, 380, 378, 672, and 1,200.
So 300 normally the minimum.
It's and the whole market of things is generally what it used to when you bought patterns and paper and stuff. All that there's a set deal like that.
Understand?
Okay, what's your request? You want to pursue the variance? You want to pursue the change in ordinance like our attorney said, or what do y'all want to do?
I'd really like to see what's coming down with our ordinances, and that discussion be a part of that.
And that starts on the 15th.
And that starts on the 15th, which is next
what? Week from tomorrow.
Week from tomorrow. Get a feel for it.
Okay.
And you can have a discussion about other locations that might be suitable for billboards too, and include those
in that discussion.
Okay.
Is that something we need to attend?
You can be open to the public, sir.
Do you need any questions?
Up to you, sir. Up to you.
5:30 at the senior center.
We would be talking about a lot of other stuff.
Is there any information I can get for y'all?
It looks pretty comprehensive what we got.
Okay.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Number 5, report on upcoming changes in certain costs charged by the City of Temple by the Carroll County Water Authority under the new water purchase, including an additional cost on water entering the city's system through the Rainy Road meter, and a decision on the possible agreement with Hughes Ray Incorporated to determine and then implement charges to reduce the volume of water coming through the Rainy Road meter into the city that might reduce this additional cost. Mr. Osborne, Mr. Everhart, and myself went down to the Water Authority the other day and met with Matt Wyndham, and I was just totally shocked that 74% of the water that we purchase comes through the Rainy Road water meter, the highest one that we could purchase water from. At one time we were purchasing 42,000 gallons a day from the East Johnson, dropped down to 3 or 4. It just, and of course, Mr. Wyndham's answer was that somebody must be opening the wrong valve or something, and this needs to be addressed. But Carroll County is going up on the water rate that they charge us. Mr. Osborne brought me the deal in there where we got to send Bank of America our report, and we're still not at the 1.05 compliance that this council signed that they would comply with. I think Mr. Osborne stated that we were like 0.69 or something this time, up from the 0.59 that we had last year. So here we go, still battling these water issues. And then to find out that we're buying most of our water, 74%, through the meter that costs the most. Just another unpleasant surprise here, and that's what I know about that. Mr. Osborne, you want to comment?
Just a couple of things, and then we'll talk to you about how we hope to try to deal with a piece of this. Just as the mayor said, we became aware very recently that such a high percentage was coming through the Rainy Road meter, and we'll try it. I'll get you a color copy of this chart. I made a mistake by not specifying to Kristen to put it in color so you can see the point that the mayor was making. But the bottom line is that the County Water Authority is getting ready to start charging a 48 cents per 1,000 gallon surcharge on any water that comes through the Rainy Road meter. You'll hear in a minute from the next agenda item from Howard Ray and what we're going to be trying to do to deal with reducing the volume of water, the percentage of water that comes through that Rainy Road meter. We also, as you know, within the next 6 weeks, we'll have to start paying $150 per month for each water intake meter that we have. We got 5 of them, including the Rainy Road. So if we didn't make any changes at all, we're talking about our bill each month from the Cobb County Water Authority going up by about $5,000 starting in September. It doesn't have anything to do with the fact that the water rates go up in January. This is simply for those two things. So we want to try to see what we can do on looking at. Don't know that we would want to close any water meter. We've got the 5. Most of the water comes through 3 of those meters. But we do want to take some action on this. I've given you a memo that tries to explain this and gives you some numbers. If there are questions, if you would hold those a minute, and Mr. Mayor, if you can read that next item that Mr. Ray is going to be talking about, and let him come up, and then he and I will be available for questions that you may have.
Consider an agreement with Hughes Ray Engineering and Incorporated to analyze the current flow of the circulation pattern within the City of Temple's water distribution system and to determine how to reduce the volume of water coming through Rainy Road meter and correspondingly to increase the water flow through the city's other intake meters, with said agreement providing an hourly rate of compensation not to exceed $7,500. Mr. Ray.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I met with staff, I guess, last week after learning what Carroll County Water Authority passed along. And basically, not to get too technical, you have, I think it's 6, 7 different feeds in the county. Rainy Road operates at an elevation of, I'm going to say 1440, and every other one's plus or minus 1330. So just think of it that Rainy Road's the biggest baddest bear in the room. So if she's on, she controls. So we typically always isolated her somewhere in the neighborhood of downtown, around split about where East Johnson turns into West Johnson and comes around and segments around Montgomery Street and services Old Green historically. I've always been in the opinion if we could take all the water from Rainy Road at the same price, that's the place we want it, because it's better. It's a higher pressure water. Okay, it's not better water; they're all the same. But it does cost the county a significant amount more money to get the water up there. So one of the things we're going to be doing, right now through that meeting last week, I have 3 different options I want to look at. So with y'all's permission, we'll start basically continuing that evaluation and coming up with a what I'm going to call systematic testing Carroll County has informed me that I know Rainy Road meter, and there's another one we can get every 24-hour updates. So if we make a change in our valving, I should be able to see if there's a response in 24 hours. So unlike a lot of places where some of our meters, it'd take me a week, if not a month, before I knew if there was a difference. So the target will be what that meter's doing. What I would expect is there's going to be some complaints, and you just mainly just got to let me know. My goal is to try to put it back sort of like it used to always be, within reason. We may get some complaints of low pressure because it's going to drop that 100 foot of elevation, which is about 10 psi, pounds per square inch. We've made a lot of improvements on what I'm going to call the low pressure side, so I think it's a lot better on that side. But you know, we're just going to try to see what we can do to leverage that and minimize that where it absolutely is needed. Some of the things that we're going to do, I think you may be aware, we restarted Old Bremen booster pump water system 2 or 3 months ago, 6 months ago, I can't remember exactly now. Same thing we'll probably be doing in Villa Rosa, right beside the sewer plant, sewer station there, Villa Rosa. We also have a booster pump. We put that in an effort not to maximize Rainy Road, to bump the pressure from that 1330 coming in off the barge 8 feet up closer to that 1400. At that time when we did that, just to refresh some memories, there was a lot of complaints in the Dale Street, Double D, Katy, in that area of town. Once we did that, the complaint was you're giving me too much pressure. So all I'm getting at is as we start making these switches and tests, if you hear of a complaint, let us know. Get us name and number so I can call them and try to talk to what they're seeing. Because there's some things that can be adjusted by the city, and there's certain things that have to be adjusted by the homeowner. So some of the newer homes all have pressure regulator valves. The older ones don't. So I can't send a lot of pressure out. When I first started, we couldn't receive a lot of Rainy Road water because the pipes were old on that side of town. We had a significant amount of breaks. That would have been back in the early 2000s. I don't know if you remember. About every month we had a break on East Johnson and Rainy Road when that line first started. Well, I think we sort of worked our way around that, but that's sort of where we're at. And mainly it's just help us get the word out that if somebody sees an issue, let us know so that we can try to figure out what's the best way to optimize the water system, but also minimize the usage out of Rainy Road.
Any questions for Mr. Ray? Mr. Osborne?
The only comment I'd make to go along with what Mr. Ray has said is that, and as the Mayor stated in his motion, that asking that you approve our contracting with Hughes Ray on an hourly rate. Now, we set a ceiling of $7,500. Hopefully it will be far less than that. But what we didn't want to do is to have our crew out in the field go and start opening up valves and closing off valves just to see what would happen. We had Red Henry up here with us. We spent a couple hours, Howard, Ray, myself, Dwayne, Red. The mayor came in, Mr. Walden came in while we were meeting, and we all were looking at how do we deal with this, and the idea is to maintain good water pressure for everybody, but try to cut the amount coming through Rainy Road and save us money. And that's kind of a hit and miss, a hunt and peck there a little bit, but hopefully it won't take that long. And we want to get it on with it as soon as possible, because come September, rates go up in terms of what comes through Rainy Road.
I'd like to make the motion that we do contract with Hughes Ray with a stipulation. I know we just got Amy Ridge in some kind of order, and if we turn around and then dump that water pressure back again, that we at least try our best to communicate with our customers that we're working through a series of things, and to make them aware that they should contact you know, and let us know what's happening. And I mean, we've got several ways, but I don't know, but to make sure that that we're doing everything we possibly can to let our customers know.
And I would say of the three alternatives we start with, two of them does not change their situation at all. One would be, which I don't think we're going to do, but I wanted to see what happens, would be to close the Rainy Road feed altogether. I just want to see what happens to that side of town. But before I do that, my thoughts are we're going to make sure everybody up there knows. And it'll be turn it off and somebody stand there because we might get a call in 10 minutes.
That's my motion. As long as we're making every effort to let our customers know what we're doing.
Here's a second to Mr. Bracken, second by Mr. Rockwell. Okay, any discussion? Yes, sir.
So, we can simply put a note on the water bill, right?
No, that won't go out until September.
No,
That's the problem, is the time. So
We're going to need to get some stuff out in the next few days.
one of the thoughts that I had presented was to develop a letter that we can hang on door hangers or mailboxes.
Well, that would be.
You know, you're not gonna get them all, but my thoughts are, I don't know the exact process for reading meters, but I'm guessing they're reading X number a day. And we start hanging them out as soon as possible. And if we know we're gonna, for instance, I know I'm gonna deal with a certain section of town, then to me, it's, you know, go out there and tape it on the mailboxes. Let's try to flood it.
Mr. Walden.
Regardless of what you do, it won't affect the booster pump at Amy Ridge, though, will it? I mean,
Correct. The booster pump there at Old Bremen, right now, to the best of my knowledge, it is being fed by Rainy Road. But I do believe when we put it in, that was going in about the time I started, 01, 02. And I don't believe Rainy Road was a connection then.
No. What's
So
wrong?
when it first came online, Rainy Road was not feed.
So we should be fine.
We should be fine.
In theory, if Rainy Road's not feeding it, it should go back the way it was back in the mid-2000s, which I don't remember any complaints at that point in time.
More discussion? Favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Thank you, Howard. Approval of a new intergovernmental agreement between the City of Temple and Carroll County Board of Commissioners and the Carroll County Tax Commissioner to continue the ad valorem tax billing and collection agreement, with said agreement requiring the City of Temple to make an annual payment of $8 to Carroll County and $1 to Tax Commission for each lot, parcel, or tract of land billed for an ad valorem tax. Mr. Osborne.
You have a copy of the agreement. It's been approved already by the Board of Commissioners and have sent it to us. So I guess you could say take it or leave it. And while $9 on the one hand may seem a little stiff, it's less than if we had to do it ourselves. So don't think we've got much choice but to go forward with approving this agreement.
Is this a change?
Yes, sir.
Is this the same, or is there a change?
I'm thinking it's an increase. Let me get back with you, but I think it's an increase of about $3 per lot.
It's a 50% increase. It's from 6 to 9.
So
I'm sorry, I spoke up.
no, well,
No, you
that's
didn't.
what
You're okay.
You were right on target with what I was saying too.
Now, quick question though, when do they want that to go into effect? Is that going to start next year, or does it start this year?
Let's see. Last thing said,
budget.
this agreement shall become effective immediately upon execution by the parties.
Well, we don't have that in the budget for us for this year, the extra 50%.
We will have to
amend it.
look at an amendment to do that. We've got no choice really.
I make a motion, we accept this
Mr. Bracken.
agreement.
You're a second? Second by Walden. Any discussion? Favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 8, report on 2017 tax digest information for the City of Temple. Mr. Osborne.
You've got 3 agenda items, this being the first one, and I have included a lot of information under this item. It includes what I had given you back on July the 25th, plus updated information. Also, Kristen had put on the table for you tonight a memo dated today, and that we'll talk about in just a minute as to what you want to do looking ahead on your millage rate. But basically, what I have given you here under this tab is all the information that we have that will let you decide on what you want your millage rate to be and looking at what your digest numbers are.
So we could make this really, really easy and just, I could make a motion to do the rollback.
Sure can.
And that'd take out 3 of these at one time.
Yeah, you can make a motion to
I make a motion, we do the rollback.
To do the rollback where it will not be an tax
Where
increase.
there won't be a net tax increase.
Okay, here a second.
The rollback being 6.425, right?
I'll second.
There you got a second. Okay, any discussion? Yes, sir.
Just point out in the memo I gave you, what this will mean is that the only thing we'll have to run in the newspaper, we'll do that Friday, is the 5-year history, and that will show when you will have the one public hearing and the special meeting to adopt it. And as you'll see, what I'm suggesting, that if you're going to do the total rollback, we will run the ad on Friday, August the 10th in the Times-Georgian, and then we would have the one public hearing on Monday, August 21st, 5:30, and then you would set the tax millage rate at what you just specified during a special call meeting of the council at 6:30 on the 21st.
And include that in the motion.
Okay, got a motion by Mr. Bracknell to roll this tax back 6.425, so there's not an increase in tax revenue.
And a second by Mr. Wallace.
A second by Mr. Walden to take care of the
Wallace.
Wallace, yeah, well, I got it down.
Walden and Wallace.
I got it down, Wallace. And so, any discussion? Favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, that carries and takes care of the next 3.
Take care of a bunch right there.
So it goes to number 11.
Decide whether the City of Temple plans to continue its current level of code enforcement after the internal agreement with the City of Villa Rica expires. Mr. Osmond.
As you know, our current code enforcement through the intergovernmental agreement ends at the end of the month. If you wish to continue, we will have the funds in the budget to do that, to the extent, as I point out in my memo to you, that intergovernmental agreement did have a breakout, and we're looking at, for the current year, a little over $21,000 for code enforcement, a monthly cost of about $1,750, and that so we would $1,800 now is what's in that budget, and so we would be very close to that in being able to go forward if you wanted to do something. So I think if you want to do something, then we can look at one possibility would be something with Mr. Watts, which is the second item that I'm presenting to you. But I guess first thing, Mr. Mayor, is to see if there's an interest in continuing with code enforcement.
Do you have any interest in?
I have interest in it.
So do I.
Okay.
I think according to the money, we can get him for another, 4 hours a week for basically the same money.
Yes.
Need to remind you, I have no problem with Mr. Watts. But as we know, he would be a new employee. He does not work for the City of Temple.
Okay.
And everybody should know what the charter states about employees. In number 9, the mayor appoints and removes all officers, department heads, and employees with the approval of the city council, except otherwise provided in this charter. So he would be a new employee. Under the new employee deal, I think we are required to advertise, this position and take applicants is what I am thinking. And yes, sir.
But we couldn't do that until we knew whether or not we were going to, continue with this. So actually, by saying that, by making a motion to continue with our codes enforcement, then opens it up to advertise and do that whole process. That's the way I look at it. I mean, we know we got someone who's interested in it, so that we're not going to, it doesn't leave us in the dark as to whether we're going to have an applicant or not. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense if y'all want to continue pursuing the code enforcement. But, like I say, the charter is clear on this kind of stuff, and last month we agreed to offer an individual a contract that the attorney had not drawn up. So back in the same old boat of not going by the charter here, and there's ways that we can legally hire Mr. Watts and anyone else that this council decides to hire. But there seems to be a problem with my recommendations from the mayor's deal with anybody that I want to recommend, and I would strongly suggest that we go by the city charter here. So we want to decide whether we want to continue
right
with the code enforcement.
That's my motion, to continue with it as it is.
Mr. Bracknell wants to continue with a motion to continue with the code enforcement portion on a part-time basis.
Part-time basis, yes.
Part-time basis.
24 hours a week.
How many hours?
24 hours a week.
24.
Yes, sir.
24 hours a week.
And we've got the budget to cover that already.
Okay.
But what you're saying is we just need to get an application, or either put him under a contract.
Are you recommending that we put him under a contract, or what are you recommending? Well, first you need to know if we want to keep it, right?
Yeah, the charter states that the mayor appoints all employees.
So are you appointing? Are you going to appoint him?
This is the first that I knew about it. If we're going to do this, we need to do it correctly.
Sure.
Is all that I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Well, let's make sure that the council desires to have it.
Okay.
Not him, but to have the code services. That's my motion.
Okay, we got a motion, Mr. Bracknell, that we pursue having a part-time codes enforcement person. Your second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Walton. Any discussion? Favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's carried. Number 13, add Kristen Etheridge to the list of individuals authorized to sign the city's of Temple checks, replace former employee Pamela Edwards.
I make a motion we add her.
Got a motion, Mr. Bracknell, to add Kristen. Your second.
A second.
Second by Mr. Rockwell. Any discussion? Favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Item number 14, update report on Founders Day schedule in Temple for September 23rd. Mr. Rockwell.
Just want to let everybody know Founders Day planning is well underway. The person that was hired to do my entertainment, however, passed away last week. So kind of got a little setback there, and I've got somebody replaced, got it replaced already with somebody working on it.
Is this the Saturday night entertainment? May I ask you? Is this the Saturday night?
Todd's still got the floor there. But I'll get with you.
Okay.
Just the entertainment for the day.
Oh, okay.
But we're rolling right along. We just had a little speed bump there, and that's my report.
Okay, Mr. Bracknell.
I was just asking if that was the Saturday night.
There's not going to be Saturday night.
So is this just somebody that you had hired for all day, to just perform all day?
No, it's somebody I hired to hire all my acts. Basically a promoter that was getting all the entertainment together.
Oh, I misunderstood.
And Founders Day ends at 5 o'clock this year.
Okay. Ends at 5 o'clock. We're not gonna have a street.
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. Walton.
So who died, the promoter or the entertainer?
promoter.
Okay.
So it's the promoter.
So that was my setback. So I had to find a new promoter
Gotcha.
to get rolling. But everything's going as planned. I'm going to have some participation this year from the elementary school as well. I met with the principal there, and they're looking forward to being a part of Founder's Day this year.
Okay.
So,
Awesome.
You need me, you call me, sir. Okay, item number, see, that was 14.
14.
Okay, we're on item number 15, report on plans for a farmer's market to be held on the grounds of City Hall on Founder's Day, Saturday, September 23rd, and the following 3 Saturdays. Mr. Rockwell.
there's been I won't call it an outcry, but there's definitely been a lot of public support behind the idea of having a farmer's market. And what I'm basically asking the council to do, we'd like to have a 4-week-long fall farmer's market to see how the participation goes, and to possibly consider one for the spring for all of next year. Week 1, we want to do it at City Hall for this 4-week market. However, the dates, the harvest comes in when it comes in, and the first date of the weekend that we wanted to kick off this little farmers market coincides with Founder's Day. So we want to bring our local only farmers in, week 1 being at Founder's Day, to basically at that point promote to the citizens that for the next 3 weekends after Founder's Day, we'll be having a city farmers market right here at City Hall. So I just make a motion to approve use of the City Hall facilities for the market.
Well, I like trying that. Do I hear a motion we approve that?
He's got the motion. You need a
I
second.
make the motion.
Okay, I hear a second to Mr. Rockwell's motion.
I second it.
A second by Mr. Bracken. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just want a little more information. You said it would be local farmers growing
Yes,
stuff.
no going to the farmer's market. And this is basically a test for what we're going to do in the spring. There'll be an application process. There'll have to be an agreement to inspect the farm. And so that way we can ensure that it's not anybody going to the farmer's market, buying produce and coming here and reselling.
Okay, but it is for profit though,
For the merchants, not for the city.
for the farmers, okay, it's
Yeah.
for profit for them. So are we going to get into a problem with other people wanting to use City Hall facilities for profit? Or
I would say no, it's a community event. I participate in the farmers market. And, we've had a lot of usage of City Hall without us even knowing about it.
Right.
And so
Okay, but it
I
was
don't
just
know how or why, but
it would still be a city event, just extended
To the farm.
for a few weeks,
Yeah.
and they would be responsible for all the cleanup and
oh yeah,
any problems, and that would be, I guess, in a contract or something.
That's not.
yeah. This is, we're going to make sure space is taken care of. We just need the space.
Would the pavilion
In a-
work
in a-
out better for it?
Maybe in the spring. I think maybe in the springtime it would be, but
To keep it from being back here.
the farmers aren't going to get the traffic over there.
That's true.
That's why I thought about coming up here. And like I say, it's a trial, and hopefully we can, if we have enough participation from our community as well as local farmers, then maybe next year, I'm not jumping that far ahead yet, but next year we might be interested in sponsoring a spring market with a lot more vendors and a lot more people. So that's,
I'm glad to hear that it's all homegrown, right?
oh yeah, it's on the local people.
So here's what I perceive this as this unfolds during these 3 weeks. You're going to be looking at it, bringing in the ordinances that we need to pass. All that will come as a result of going through this process. Is that correct?
Well, sure.
So then, I hope if we do that just these 4 Saturdays, that this is something that's going to really pan out next year, so that we got local grown where we can get to it, and we know about it, and know where
Oh, yeah.
to get it.
Yeah.
And to have all these rules and regulation in place for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right, that makes
And
sense.
It's a community event. I just want to get people excited about being in Temple again.
Yeah, as long as you're calling it a city event, so it don't spread out to where somebody else wants to just come up here and sell
Right,
stuff.
right,
That's
yeah,
my
absolutely.
concern.
And that's how I took it.
Okay.
And I think with the city being in cahoots, maybe that's not the best word, but with the city sponsoring the event, therefore it being an event, basically, I guess we need to call it a extension of Founder's Day, even.
And all this is for the Saturday Founder's Day and the next 3
Yes.
right here, and that's it.
And as a part of a comment along that line, one of the things that we're trying to bring into being is to kind of have like a lifelong community in which you're planning events that are benefiting. You're not just targeting like the 14-year-olds to play soccer, that you're expanding that out to attract a larger group. And I know for a fact that there is a grant being worked on within one of the schools in which they're going to be growing vegetables and what have you organically, and that's going to be used. There's going to be some activities there which would have really, really close in this. I just appreciate Todd doing that work, and I just think it's a great idea.
And you would be the coordinator for the whole 4 weeks of it.
I will be the overseer.
Okay, so you take it. We don't have to worry about the cleanup and all that, or mess being that.
No,
One question, when we say local, is that Temple, or people coming from Carrollton, or?
to open it up, we're going to have mostly, we're looking at 4 or 5, people. Anybody that wants to participate, obviously, can get with me on that. But yeah, it's going to be Carroll County, maybe Harrelson, Paulding, right here, or everywhere our zip code goes.
Any more discussion? Got a motion and a second by Mr. Rockwell and a second by Mr. Brackwell. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried. Number 16, direct the city administrator to establish a system so all applicants for employment in positions of city government are filed online and are maintained in a central file at City Hall. Mr. Rockwell.
This has been brought up a couple meetings ago. Me and Mr. Osborne had an opportunity to sit and discuss this a little further detail this week, mainly because we had to get on the same page. And my suggestion here to council is we need proper record retention. We don't have it, and in order for that to move forward, in order to be able to access all the applications that we get in the city, if we set up an online application, whether it be for Public Works, the Senior Center, we have a record of every single person that's applied for a job in the city. I spend a lot of time on county and city websites, just doing what I do. And so every time I'm on a city website and I see employment opportunities, I click and look at it, and there's the application that's available. And I think it would protect us as a city to have access to that. We've had a lot of job openings in the last year, and I even made the comment, hey, can you put your hands on that person's application that applied 45 days ago? What if they came in here and applied and the person working didn't like that person? And we just took that application and we threw it in the garbage can. File 13, right? Well, there's federal employment laws that protect these individual applicants. And I feel like if we don't get a better record retention system on these applications, we're just opening ourselves up for a lawsuit. Such and such applies for the job, doesn't get the job. Well, you got discriminated against me based on my age. So then we get the letter from his attorneys and we can't even produce an application. So, that's not a buck that I think we can pass
we heard the police chief tell us at the last month's meeting, well, they turned in applications to this person, and I got applications on this desk, and I got applications. And he had to pull from 3 places to try to find applications. What about the ones that didn't get handed to him? So I wanted to basically give Mr. Osborne the authorization to get this thing rolling, where every city job that is available, they can apply online.
Most big companies are doing that. They're online. But what if you've got somebody that don't have computer access?
We have a library in town with 3 internet access.
They'd go there.
But could they still fill out a?
Or paper. But no, most companies now require it.
Most of them are.
Yeah. And they require it. Now, I'm not an attorney, but I'm pretty sure there's some laws in place here with employment laws on retaining these applications, and especially our people that we hire. We do actually hire.
It is a good idea to hold on to it.
It really is.
If something comes back.
And I just, every one of our department heads is struggling for space already. So if the record retention is, says we have to keep this application for 180 days, I mean, they need more space to hold boxes of applications in. I just think it protects us, and it gives us a solid, I don't need to have access to it, but I think our department heads and our city manager ought to be able to access this. And I'm pretty sure that if Kristen deals with our webmasters, that it wouldn't be a difficult process to get our applications all online.
So we would be able to pull one up from our personal computers?
No, not you're right.
We could, the application we could. We just couldn't pull up anybody else, right? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't see where we would need.
We wouldn't have access.
Right. We wouldn't have access to that.
Okay, who would have access?
The department heads and the city administrator. So, I don't see where we would actually need to look at it.
Well, you have asked for applications.
Sure.
Sure. Under open records, so I didn't know if maybe we'd be able to.
So is it?
A lot of people that have applied, like I know 2 police officers from Haralson County up there, they didn't want their application out because they would get fired just by applying, and if we didn't hire them, they'd be out of a job. So I would hope that just anyone couldn't access.
Right, and that was where me and Mr. Osborne had mixed ideas about it, because he was thinking I meant that it was online for anybody to see.
No.
And it's not online for anyone to see like that. It's just available. As a supervisor, if I need to hire an employee, I log in to my account, I look who's eligible to be hired and who's not eligible to be hired. And I'm actually a little old-fashioned. I like to see somebody walk in with an application and resume. But today's world, you're looking at a screen, you're looking at a name and a resume, and then you make decisions through the interview process. But the main goal here is we have a record of every single person that has applied for a job in this city. And it's, like I said, I don't necessarily need access to it, but I think that we would benefit greatly, and I don't think there'll be any more cost involved in doing it that way.
This is a motion.
So my motion is we authorize Mr. Osborne to get this moving forward.
I second it.
Okay, second by Mr. Bracknell. Any discussion? Favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's carried. 17, report on improvements to the children's playground, City Park. Mr. Osborne.
I've given you a brief memo, and I'll make a very brief report that we have had from several people. Complaints about the little playground over at the park. We've been working on that to try to see what might be done to deal with the immediate complaints, and looks like for less than $1,000 we can get that taken care of. So we are moving forward to get that work done. Did have to do some leveling in the playground, but we hopefully the next few days. If they hadn't already completed it, they will complete it, and it'll look a lot better and be more serviceable. We did determine that there was not mold on the playground equipment. And so far as looking down the road, there are a lot of things that we probably need to do for further upgrades, including possible expansions that I've talked with Joe Wilson about, but that will be for another day. But just wanted to make that report to you, let you know what we were doing.
Okay. Number 18, approve changes in the City of Temple schedule for payment of mileage and meal expenses for employees and elected officials who participate in meetings, conferences, workshops, or approve in advance for said individuals to attend. Mr. Bracknell.
Yes, sir. This is just to change back that we allow the employees to use the per diem that's established by the U.S. General Services Administration per diem for meals and for mileage. It simply gets it. I'd like to make a motion that we eliminate the need for receipts.
Do what now?
It eliminates the needs for the employees to bring. Right now, elected officials do not bring in receipts. They just use the per diem, and it establishes the same thing for the employees. And that's my motion. To eliminate the receipt.
We have a policy already.
This would change that policy.
But do we need to do that by an ordinance?
No. The original, it was done originally by simple motion, and to change to add the receipt was also done by motion. So what they're functioning under now was a motion made to change the policy. And so, acting under that same accord, I'm making a motion that we eliminate the need for receipts for employees when they attend conferences. As a part of it, there's also a document that's been suggested that and a copy of it is in the booklet that would allow a total look at when an employee is authorized to do a workshop or whatever the case may be, where everything is in one document, so whoever is approving it can see how much the meals are going to cost, how much the mileage is going to cost, how much the conference itself is going to cost, so that it's not just saying, okay, we're going to approve you to go to a conference that costs $100. You can see in reality how much it's going to cost, especially if you're paying this employee's mileage and if you're giving them the food allowance, because now they are allowed to have the food allowance up to whatever it is. I think it's $6, $7, and $15 per day. They can have up to that as long as they bring back a receipt. So I'm saying that the law allows you to use that per diem and just to eliminate the receipt. That's what the motion is.
Okay, Mr. Attorney, we have this travel transportation policy. Can we, and it says in here, specifically, meals, employees are entitled to reimbursement for meals based on a reasonable cost. Receipts are required for all meals. I'm not sure how this was passed or how it was done, but is it okay to amend this like this?
I think it is.
Okay.
Mr. Bracknell's given me the minutes from a meeting from July 1st of 2013. Apparently that's when it was amended.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you can amend your personnel policy without having to adopt an ordinance and the reading requirements.
Okay, Mr. Bracknell has got a motion to state that one more time.
To eliminate the employees' need to bring in a receipt.
Employees need to bring receipts. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Walden. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried. Number 19, staff report 2017 City of Temple General Fund budget and water and sewer funds at mid-year. Mr. Osborne.
This is, I've got you about a 3.5-page memo as well as a 6-month report prepared by Sarah Hefty. Don't have any reason to go into detail. I would recommend, if you haven't already read my memo, please do so. I tried to give you a good reading on where we are. I think we're in good shape during the current fiscal year with keeping our expenditures in line with revenues. The big question, as always, is it's toward the end of the year before we know what we're getting from property taxes and a couple of other insurance premium taxes and so forth. But looks like we're in pretty good shape at this time. And I would say that if you got some questions, I'll be glad to respond to now or in the next few days. If you want to talk, have questions, I'll be glad to answer those or to be sure that Sarah Hefty gets you the information you're looking for.
Thank you for your report. Number 20, approve the expenditure up to $22,000 for other repair and maintenance line item in the sewer treatment plan budget for repairs of generator at the sewer treatment plant using services of the lowest bid as determined by the city as a sewer treatment plant director, Mr. Vernon Harris. Vernon, are you here?
No, he was not able to be here, and so I'm going to make his report.
Okay.
Bottom line is that the generator at the sewer treatment plant is not working, needs to be repaired as soon as possible. Vern had told me he thought we would be able to get this done for about $22,000. In fact, that's the figure I used in the memo that I referred to a minute ago concerning your 2017 workshop. Thus far, he's been able to get only one quote. That's from Triple B, located in Buckhannon, and that's a little less than $21,500. There is a setup fee that's about $150, but we still are within range with what we would the $22,000. Now, as Vern has made contact with some other companies, they want to charge us for travel costs to come out here to give us a job estimate. Thus far, he's declined to agree for us to cover such an expense. What I would, the problem is if he can keep working on it, fine, but if the generator, if the plant needs that generator, and we don't have it, we're in a heap of trouble. So we need to go ahead and get something done. And I would either recommend that since he has worked on this and has come up just with the one bid, but it's less than what he told me in the very beginning he thought would be a good fair price, either to authorize a local company, namely Triple B in Buckhannon, to do it, or tell him to keep working this week. But if he can't find anybody this week, I would urge you to him to be able to go forward with Triple B, because if, like I say, if it goes, if we have a problem, it'll cost us a lot more than $22,000 to take care of that problem.
Mr. Bracknell.
I think our procurement ordinance allows, if you can't get but one bid and it's a fair bid, that we do it. So I make a motion that we accept this and move forward.
Mr. Bracknell to accept this $22,000 bid from Triple B.
Or it's actually $21,500.
It's going to be about 20. Let's just say it's up to $22,000.
Up to $22,000.
Here a second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Walden. Any discussion? Favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Number 21, update staff report on the Villa Rosa lift station. Mr. Eberhardt.
Mr. Eberhardt couldn't be here, and I'll make two quick reports.
Okay.
Thankfully, the Villa Rosa lift station is working at this time.
Good.
And hopefully it will keep working. We do have a problem, and I think I'm going to identify this correctly. It's a lift station over near the Public Works. I think it's the Bradley Street lift station. Is that?
That's correct.
Anyway, on Saturday morning, lightning hit our box over there and knocked it out. And right now we're having to manually, I say manually, it's not automatic because of the equipment not working right, but we're having to about every 4 hours manually operate the lift station. and we are trying to get that fixed. They've got, I think, the new panel board should be in the next 24 to 48 hours, and in the meantime, we will have somebody that will be over there about every 4 hours making sure that things keep working. We haven't had a spill, but that's where we are with it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Number 22, updated staff report concerning the closeout of the City of Temple's intergovernmental agreement with the City of Villa Rica for physical services, code enforcement services, including current and proposed staffing by the Administration Department and its Financial Department as a result of the transition and the recent vacancy in this position of the utility clerk. Mr. Osborne.
Just I've given you, not going to go into detail other than just to say with utility billing clerk that our temp's doing a good job. We have worked things out so that both Ms. Hefty and the Villa Rica city manager have given their approval to their employee Ashley Swan, who's our main person from Villa Rica now that does our technical assistance to our staff on Casale, that she will be available on an hourly basis as we would want to use her services to give us some technical assistance after the end of August, while our people are getting more accustomed to being able to operate the equipment. Finance director plan to start working on getting that advertisement out to start the process. Utility billing clerk, Kristen and I are beginning to take a look at the resumes. We got, I think, 45 resumes in, so that's going to take a while. And like I say, in the meantime, the temp is doing a good job. But at the end of this month, 3.5 weeks, we lose all the Villa Rica resources. I did have Sarah Hefty prepare me a list of all the services, because I said I probably don't even know what some of them are. The last page you've got under this tab is a list of financial tasks that they do for us. And so we got to pick up and figure out how we get all of these different tasks done. Now, I had mentioned to you at one point as to whether or not we needed to try to get an accounting firm, a CPA firm, or whatever. But I had become aware of a lady that's doing consultant work for cities in the fiscal services area. Pam Helton, the GMA, had recommended her to me. Also, she had, Councilmember Howard Walden had a contact with her, and he mentioned to her. I asked this lady to come over. Cynthia Geyer interviewed her, was very impressed. I've included her resume in your book. Had her to come back Friday. The mayor and I met with her. I today had checked her references. Kristen had put on your for your book her references. They checked out very good. Most of these references, well, all of the references she'd worked with at Hiram, where she had served as city clerk, finance director, acting city manager, executive assistant to the mayor, all at different times over the period of several years. She right now is working in 2 or 3 cities, but does have basically 2 days a week where we could use her services. And what I'd like to do is to, her rate is $35 an hour, mileage 53.5 cents a mile on the travel between here and Hiram on the 2 days that she would work for us. But basically what I'd like to do is to look at using her services over the next, between now probably and right at the end of the year. She's somebody that has a broad knowledge of fiscal services and can, I think, do a lot that we need done, plus identifying how we might get it done. Because like I say, gentlemen, come the 1st of September, We on the island by ourselves.
So, may I?
Yes, sir.
So all this would require would be for us to authorize consultant contracts with these two individuals, right? So if that were the motion, that's all that would be needed.
What I'm asking,
Right.
she's giving us a contract services for special projects, and as I said in my memo, under what it shows, description of services, my first specific task would be for her to spend about 3 or 4 days in
But-
Villa Rica City Hall getting acquainted, and the rest of it, she would be looking at making sure that the
But to be able
services
to
on
get
our
her,
list.
but to be able to get her, all you need is just for us to give permission for the mayor to enter into a contract
Yes.
with both the Villa Rica employee at the rate that they're going to charge and this consultant with what they're going to charge. Right? So that's all the motion would need to be. If that's what we want to do. And if that's what we want to do, I want to make that motion. It makes sense. We've got to have somebody in here to help out. We're about to be developing budgets, and we've got to, somebody that needs to know. And so my deal is to authorize entering into that. Would it be contract services? What we authorize you to develop a contract? Is that what we do?
Well, see, this is the same thing.
Now,
right
this is
here.
not an employee. This is just contract services. This would be contract services, so it's not an employee. It's where you develop. You're authorized to sign a contract. If we authorize the contract, you're authorized to develop it. That's my understanding, correct?
Would be much like contracting with Howard Ray, for example.
Yeah, just any contract that we do.
The contract has to be drawn up by the city attorney.
Absolutely.
According to the charter, not this right here. And then we're supposed to have a contract before we start, approving this stuff.
Well, we can approve it and have the attorney develop the contract, give him the authorization to develop the contract with these two employees. That's my motion.
And again, sir,
It's my motion.
remind you what the charter says.
I'm sure the
All
city attorney will make sure we
employees.
follow that contract, that charter.
There is a draft contract, I think, behind the resume that's in here. I don't know where this came from.
That came from, that's her contract.
I didn't know where you got that. So it does provide, I think it was contemplated that she would be an independent contractor, not an employee.
Well, we can approve contracts and then the mayor just signs them.
Right.
The charter says that he signs the contracts that we approve.
So I make a motion to accept the contract. We got to get somebody in here before the last minute.
Understand, that, sir. But back to ever how you shake this out, this will be an employee of the city.
Nope, because we won't be paying income tax on them. We won't be paying Social Security.
Talking
we
to
won't be paying all that.
the city attorney here.
My understanding is that she would be considered an independent contractor and not an employee of the city, would be working on a part-time basis. That's the way I understand the way it's been presented to me here today. So she would not be considered an employee for really any purpose. And whether y'all use the contract that she's prepared, which we can kind of take that and spruce it up a little bit, or we can prepare our own, either one. It would be on a contract basis, it would be terminable when her services are no longer needed. She wouldn't be entitled to benefits. She wouldn't, no retirement, no health insurance.
Right. So she's not an employee.
That's my understanding of it. And I think with that understanding, she would not be considered an employee. I think the council would have the authority to approve or to authorize you, Mr. Mayor, to approve that contract.
That's
My motion. And it's, my motion stands.
I will second that motion.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Bracknell and a second by Mr. Walden. Okay.
So we enter into a contract.
With the work employee and this Cynthia.
Cynthia Geiger.
And then there again, kind of like the other contract employee We have. I have met with her. I didn't know, about all of this until just a few minutes before the meeting, so therefore I am not recommending this at this time. Got a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Question.
Yes, sir.
How long would this contract be for?
That would be up to us to decide. What I'm looking at is, I think by the time you recruit for a finance director, you go through that process, you hire the person, and they come to work here, you're talking about probably getting close to the end of the calendar year.
Now, Mayor,
Yes, sir, Ms. Rockwell.
the attorney just said as long as we want her service, right? Is that what you read? It can be terminable at any time.
Yeah, if we could put that in the contract, that we will, it's for a limited duration, we'll let her know, we can terminate, walk away with X number of days notice or something like that. We can provide for that in the contract.
Any more discussion? It is my way I take on this. This is just another deal of circumventing the mayor's authority to appoint. Got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's carried 4-0. Updated staff report concerning utility billing charged to several large customers in 2013 and 2014, and recommendation action by the city council to consider. Mr. Osborne.
Yes, sir. We had this at the last meeting, and you wanted some more information. I've been looking for more information. I've had Ms. Hefty looking for more information. I do not have anything that I'm coming to you tonight saying we're ready for you to make a decision. I've got to get back with Robin Denson to see where she came up with the information. So updated staff report tonight is still working on it, but don't have anything that you need to consider action at this time.
Okay. Item 24, discussion of follow-up from today's 5:30 training session with the State Attorney General, Assistant Jennifer Colangelo on open records. Mr. Attorney.
I don't have anything to add to what Mrs. Colangelo said. I was all here, heard what she said. I thought she made a very thorough presentation and did a good job of presenting some of the issues that y'all are going to be facing as officials and with regard to open records and open meetings. I would just ask you to take all that into consideration. And if you have questions about anything, and Kristen and Mr. Osborne are always real good about this, particularly open records requests, just call us and we'll be glad to interpret whatever we need to interpret or look at open records requests if y'all want us to do that. That's all I have.
Mr. Wallace, any closing comments, sir?
Question for Mr. Osborne. We discussed something about the library and the drainage problem there. Did you get any feedback on that, on the odor that's coming from?
We checked on that, but I don't remember what the feedback. Let me find out and I'll get back and I'll send a note to all of you. Okay.
Anything else, sir? Mr. Rockwell.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight, and I definitely would love some input on this billboard thing. I want to hear from you guys, citizens, on how you feel about Welcome Home. Here's a 30-foot billboard, so I just want to be open to hearing from you guys.
Mr. Brackman.
Yeah, I got three things. One is the web page, the current web page that we have on our city web. I'd kind of like for Mr. Osborne and Kristen to get together to see if there's a better alternative. That our web page needs to be our go-to page, not our Facebook page. So do we need to be looking at somebody else to, house that, or what are some suggestions to get that functioning, especially now that we're going to put the applications on it. The next thing is, I've asked a question, and I've asked a city attorney, and I want to kind of get it out. Is there a reason and maybe this is something to look at too, that we can't start paying our bill, not all of them, but the ones that we can start paying our bills online with an authorization. You know, if it's going to be paid online, authorization just like you do now with the 2 sign-offs, and to do it that way, that would save a lot of time. It would save the postage. You still get the confirmation. You still get the bill. You still get the, in the checkbook where it was paid. So that, to see if there's any problem with us doing that. It just seems like, we're walking into the, into this century kind of slowly. All that services is there. And the third thing is the walking trails out of the rec department. I have sent pictures of the disarray and the lack of maintenance 3 different times. I brought it. At the next council meeting, I want a rec director here with an explanation of why those trails are not being maintained. Patience is okay, but a year and a half, Mr. Mayor, and still walk out there and those trails are completely covered up. Those bridges haven't been repaired. The overgrowth that's out there is unreal. And it has been, sit down and meet and talk, show the pictures. Now I want an explanation of what he needs to keep those trails. The Carroll County government out of their funding for green space provided the money to do that, and I think we owe it to them to be sure that those are available. The space, we were talking that there is an oval that goes around the 2 ball fields. When the project was stopped on that construction over there 4 years ago, we were told to put everything back the way it was. There is 2 sections where there's rock that big, and nobody can walk the oval inside without going through those rocks. So, you can't push a baby stroller through there. You can't push somebody in a wheelchair through there because that was not repaired. I've asked that over and over again. Why is that not fixed? Because we voted to return it back the way it was. And that was dug up, and that was supposed to have been repaired 4 years ago. So I'd like for us to have a rec director here and let him explain to us why he can't do it.
Yeah, and we
see what we need to do.
We have a public works department and the inmate crew. So why is this not being done? Not taken care of? All right. Anything else, sir?
That's it,
Mr. Walden.
I'd just like to say, with looking over our budget the first 6 months of the year, first half of the year, it looks like the department heads are doing a really good job considering everything, staying within budget. And I'd just like to say I appreciate that. And also, I'm glad to say that we were able to do the complete rollback on the millage rate, avoiding any kind of tax increase. And I think we're also on the right track with our finances and our water. So we will get there.
Yeah, like I say, Mr. Osborne just showed me today that we're still short of our 1.05% that the council voted to maintain.
Well, what I meant was with the water billing and the water accounts.
Yeah,
and stuff. I know the revenue is not where it needs to be.
We need to get these water billings and these meter reads. I swear it just blows my mind why we can't get the correct meter reading and the way we used to do it years ago. It was simple, and we didn't have all of this stuff. But everybody needs, the city needs, we owe it to our customers for them to have an accurate bill. And that's what we need to be striving to get, and then see where we are. Hear a motion we adjourn?
Make a motion we adjourn.
Your second?
Second.
Stand adjourned.
All in favor?
All in favor. We stand adjourned.
Now you can come up here and sit through it and make me ask you questions.
Do I? The whole meeting, everything wasn't
I hope so.
Especially,
Sandra's fixing to get the rest of her surgery done. Sandra?
Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Chief, tell Sandra to come. Thank you. Tell Sandra.
Because he's with the trash can.
yeah.
Looks like